Well, bakers, last summer I had the luxury of going to Amsterdam on our family vacation and we had an absolute blast. Not only is it a beautiful city, the people are lovely and the food is incredible. One dessert in particular really stood out, and that is a traditional stroopwafel. We hunted around the city, I tried different things, but eventually I went to the original stand, the guys who created the stroopwafel many years ago. They are absolutely delicious. They are very unique, very Dutch, and I absolutely loved them. And I'm going to show you how you can make the real deal right now in the luxury of your very own home. So we're going to start out by making the waffle dough, which actually is a yeasted dough, but a very simple one. So here I have my stand mixer. You can also do this by hand if you've got a lot of elbow grease and you really know how to work your dough. But I'm going to do my KitchenAid. Into this goes my flour, sugar, just some regular old granulated sugar, cinnamon for a little bit of warmth, because you know those waffles always have that kind of cinnamony smell in the air. Salt, as always, to enhance all the lovely flavors. And then a little bit of instant yeast. Now I love to use instant yeast because just like this, you sprinkle it in with the rest of the dry ingredients. Active yeast you have to activate in warm water. And if you do use active dried yeast, then I'm going to put a note on biggerbolderbaking.com with the written recipe of how you can use active dried yeast, and it's really easy. I'm just going to give those dry ingredients a little mix together. And into those, I'm going to add in some melted butter. I mean, you can't have a waffle without melted butter, right? The beauty of these waffles is you can smell them almost all around the city. It smells like, you ever walk past a Ben & Jerry's and you smell like a waffle cone? Like that's what they smell like. They're buttery, they're vanilla, there's a little bit of spice in there with the cinnamon. They're so delicious. We're going to add a little bit of milk into our dough and then some eggs to enrich it. Then simply turn on your machine, let it knead on medium-high speed for around 6 minutes. So during the summer, we actually tend to go to Europe because we'll go to Ireland maybe and then another country. So we're really fortunate to be able to visit all these lovely places. Last year was Amsterdam and we just had a blast. We saw the windmill. We had traditional waffles and all the different things. We had lovely seafood and gin and tonics, and it was all very delicious. I always share my travels on social, so make sure you follow me on Instagram and you'll see all of these pictures. And there you go. That's it. Just a few minutes for this dough. Does not take long. Now, normally when we make a yeasted dough, we always make our dough, then we put it in a bowl and we proof it for 2 hours and we come back, we knock out the air and then we do it again. But with this one, because it's almost like a thin cookie dough, a crisp waffle dough, we're going to divide it straight away into balls and then we're going to proof it afterwards. So we're going to cut this dough up to 18 balls and you want them to be around 50 grams each. So this is why I love a digital scale for complete accuracy. So just take each ball now and actually you can probably do this in the palm of your hand. So here I have a baking tray. I'm just going to flour this a little bit. And I'm just going to roll these balls into my hand. Just like so. I find it easier in my hand. You can do it on your countertop as long as there's not too much flour. And just roll them all because the smoother that they are means that once they flatten in the iron, they'll have smooth edges. That's why you want a smooth finish. Just so you know, if you want to, because I did this, to actually, at this stage that you've formed the balls, freeze them and then take them out later at a later date, proof them for maybe an hour and a half, 2 hours, and then you can put them in the press. That's totally fine too. I found that works really well. It's not a sensitive dough. You know, sometimes with yeasted doughs, you have to be a little bit careful. We've got to follow the rules. This isn't really a sensitive dough. Lovely. Now here's what we're going to do. I'm going to lay some cling wrap over the top to keep them covered from the air and to stop them forming a skin. We're going to put a tea towel on top and we're going to let these proof for 1 hour. They're just going to relax. They're going to do their thing. They're not going to grow a whole lot, just an FYI, but it does need this time to rest. So we're going to set those over to the side and then come back in a short bit. So while your dough is proofing, this is a good time to make your caramel sauce. Now in Amsterdam, they use something called stroop. This is where they got the name stroopwafel, which means like sugary waffle. So stroop is a byproduct of beetroot sugar production. It's very thick, it's molassesy almost. It has a very unique flavor. Now I tried to replicate it here in the house and I didn't have great success. It crystallized, it was too dark and rich, and when I had it in Amsterdam, it just tasted like a really lovely you know, almost like just caramel sauce, you know, there's an ambery caramel sauce. So that's what I'm using today. I'm using my salted caramel sauce, which works really well. This recipe is on biggerbolderbaking.com, and I found that this caramel sauce is like the perfect flavor and texture for a stroopwafel. So here is my station with everything that I need. I have my caramel sauce, I have a rack to put my stroopwafel on, our dough is ready to go, and then I have my waffle iron. Now let me show you this. You might recognize this because I used it a few years ago to make pizzelles. Also, not during the holiday season, George and I make our own homemade ice cream cones. And then after I went to Amsterdam, I realized you can use it to make stroopwafel because I hate a piece of machinery that you can only do one thing with. So I have to say I've gotten pretty good use out of this. I got this on Amazon. It was not that expensive. I'll put the link in the website post. So my waffle iron has been heated up. I'm going to do 2 at a time. We're going to flatten it out a little bit just to make sure it gets to the size that we want, the full shape, just like that. Then batten down the hatches. So these look fantastic. I will tell you that normally when you do your first ones, just like a crepe, they generally burn, but I'm very happy with these. So here's what you have to do straight away. So no more talking. Take your waffle, take a nice serrated, sharp knife, a thin knife. I have a little piece of kitchen paper here to protect my hands. Get down nice and low, and I'm gonna cut it right through the center. Rotate it, so you're getting an even cut all the way around. Rotating is really the key to make sure that you get 2 even pieces. Look at this. Ta-da! Lovely! So am I. Did not know that was gonna work. But here we are. Now, let's not tell anybody. Let's put some caramel in the middle. Once it's cut in half, we're gonna put in our caramel sauce. It's not too crazy because it will start to come out the sides. Then use a little palette knife. Use your palette knife to spread it around and then sandwich it together. I have to say, I do like when you can see, look at that, a little bit of the caramel coming out the sides. Did you know that you could make these at home? How lovely is that? So once you get the hang of it, continue cooking off your stroopwafel. I recommend only doing 2 at a time because you really have to use your serrated knife to cut them down the middle while they're fresh from the iron and still warm. If they get cold, it'll be really hard to do. Just from experience, the more you make these, the better they will get, and they'll be like the perfect color on the outside. You'll have the right amount of caramel on the inside. It just takes a little bit of getting used to. These look fantastic and they're ready to serve. So I would recommend eat your stroopwafels within a day so they stay nice and crisp and fresh, and they're going to be at their very best. The sweet crisp waffle with the salty caramel in the middle is just like nothing else I've experienced, especially made fresh. I also learned that traditionally they're served with a hot cup of coffee, and you place it on top of the cup and let the steam from the coffee soften the waffle and the caramel on the inside. I really enjoyed that trip down memory lane and getting to experience homemade stroopwafels again. So thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you back here again really soon.